This is activity 2, and the directions state that you're going to observe the teacher for 2 or 3 days in a row in the same class period. What we're doing here is we're tracking a learning segment over time, because this is something we're going to be learning about how to write in class, and we're going to be practicing this in class. So you want to see this happening. Now, I'm going to make a modification right here. It says track the learning that happens over the course of a 2 to 3 day segment, 6 hours. It is preferable that you observe 2 class periods over 3 days, but you may choose to do 3 class periods for 2 days. And what I'm going to say is you can modify these hours. So if you only have 1 hour available and you want to see period 1 over 3 days, and so you just do 1 hour, 3 days, and that's 3 hours, and you want to do that 2 times so that you can see 2 different learning segments, that's fine. Or if you want to do 3 here, do 3 hours here, and then when we get to activity 3 and 4, you want to do additional activities 3 and 4 so that you can make up the full 10 hours, I'm okay with that also. So there's some wiggle room on this activity in terms of the number of hours. The goal, though, is to see a learning segment happen. When one of the keys in teaching is to make sure that your lessons bind together and build on each other from one day to the next so that you can see what's happening. So you'll use this table to track what's going on. What's the content standard from day 1, day 2, and day 3? What's the instructional objective? So students will be able to, it's usually how those are written. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Instructional strategies that were employed by the teacher. Again, did they use Socratic seminar? Did they use think, pair, share? Did they use productive conversations? What is it that they did to teach the concept and to engage students in the learning? What were the instructional tasks? So sometimes a teacher uses a strategy, but the students aren't doing anything. For example, the teacher is using a lecture format and students are sitting and listening. And then the teacher has the student do something. That's the instructional task. So what are the students doing and what do they have to be engaged in? And then what's the assessment? A lot of times you're going to see whatever the task is also the assessment, but it's preferable if the assessment is different. Some teachers use a quick quiz at the end. Some teachers use exit slips. Some teachers use a short writing assessment. So there's a lot of ways to assess whether students understood the material after they've done the independent task. And that's what you're looking for there. So what are those assessments? And then what's homework assigned and anything additional that you noticed. Don't forget, don't pass up this reflection. So after you fill in the table, there are these reflection questions, and a couple people missed it last time. So how did the learning experiences build on each other throughout the learning segment? Did you see that happening? Did the students achieve the intended outcomes? So did the teacher get them where they wanted them to go? And after reviewing your notes and referring to content from our course, what changes might you recommend to increase the connections in the content? Again, this isn't evaluative of the teacher, it's just reflective. Every time you teach, you can always do it better. So by recommending changes, you're not saying that the teaching you saw was necessarily bad. You are saying that there's something that could be done to improve it, and you are reading cutting-edge research in your content reading. So it's important that you think about that and begin to apply it to these real-life situations. So that's activity 2. Is just tracking the learning over 3 days and then reflecting on what happened as a result of that. And again, you can bunch it all up and do 3 hours, so periods 1, 2, and 3 on day 1 and day 2, and not fill out, just skip this third column. Or you can do 2 periods, day 1, day 2, day 3, or you can do 1 period, day 1, day 2, day 3, but you'll have to do it twice in order to make up the time, or do activity 3 and 4 an additional couple of times to make it to the 10 hours.